Work today to start making those connections between not just science, not just hearing and sight, but also how authors communicate in the words that they write and how illustrators communicate in the words that they write to help the reader think about a message. So I do need you to use your switchboards to do some note-taking for me. And of course, with your switchboard, you'll be using your whiteboard and eraser. And can you make sure that your shoulder partner has their switchboard ready with the marker and eraser in 10, 9, 6, 5, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you. So if you'd like to use your big idea organizer, I think that would make sense, because we'll continue listening to the read aloud story of the listening walk, and I want to challenge you to listen for some of those sounds. What are some sound words that the author is communicating in order to help the reader or listener, which is us, to get an idea of what we can hear if we just quiet down our lives and let our ears pick up all those natural sounds around us. So if you think you hear a sound word, I want to see you document it on your big idea organizer for different ways the author is communicating those wonderful sounds to us through her words. We'll start where we left off. I like to listen to lawn sprinklers. Lawn sprinklers are very quiet. They make different sounds. Some sprinklers make a steady whispering sound like this. Try it. Other sprinklers turn around and around. They go like this. Try it. On a listening walk, I hear cars in the street. The shiny new cars are quiet. They make only a soft try it. But old cars are very noisy. Old cars sound like this. Bracka, 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 bracka. Try it. Bracka, 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 bracka. When cars go around the corner too fast, the tires go. Try it. When cars stop quickly, the brakes go. I'll pause there to let you document, because I know sometimes when we're note-taking, it's hard to listen and to write. So take a look at your organizer and make sure that you've documented at least one sound that the author has communicated to us and using those great sensory words. And remember that all throughout our work, you're working on that team building. If you have a question, you're unsure, you can talk to your shoulder partner first. And then if they can't help you, to your face partner. And then if they can't help you, then I'd love to try and attack the problem, but ask them first. And would you turn to your shoulder partner and show them just one example of a sound that you documented from the author? And you'll turn to them in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Turn to that shoulder partner and say, this is what I found. And show them one of your sounds. And hold up your boards in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I get to see your sounds. So when we ask you to hold it up, I will remind you that that does mean put the cap on the marker, right? If you need the sound, I'll give you the sound too to remind you. That does mean cap your marker. And then you hold it up now. Okay, so I see the car sounds, the fast and the slow cars. I hear the sprinklers. Okay, nice. All right, let's keep reading, see if we can find some more. I'll read 2 more pages. On a listening walk, I hear all kinds of sounds. A bicycle bell ringing. Tring, tring, tring. Try it. Tring, tring, tring. A baby crying. Wah, wah, wah. Try it. A jet flies over. Jets are very noisy when they're overhead. A jet goes. Try it. A boy runs by, dribbling his basketball. Bump, bump, bump. Try it.
Bump, 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 bump.
I'll pause there for you so you can record a few more sounds. Remember, you're using your organizer to document those good sensory sounds. And we'll give you 10. Five. Think you're following directions. Many of you do the cap your marker, right, and then hold it up. Cap your marker, hold it up. Cap your marker, hold it up. I like those additions I see. I like that some of you have not just the sketches, but the labels too. Nice text features. Okay, now show your face partner, something that you've added. Not everything, but show your face partner, that person across from you. What's something that you added? Around and give you one sticky note. I want you to look at your organizer and decide what's one sound that really spoke to your ears, because the author was communicating to us through her words, those nice sensory words, those sound words that she was using. I want you to pick one sound word that you really liked from her communicating through her words, and I want you to put it on a sticky note, not with your whiteboard marker, of course, but with a pencil or a crayon. So as you take a look at your organizer, I want you to pick the one that you think has the best sound. And I want you to write it nice and clear for us, and maybe you'll also even give us a picture. Like if I picked basketball, do you remember what sound the basketball made? Yeah, so if I wrote that sound, I'd probably include what kind of visual? Probably a basketball, right? Because I want my picture, my image to match my label. Just like when writers are creating informational text, they want their image to match their caption. So if you're going to give me the sound of a basketball, most likely you would give me a basketball to go with it, right? So in case I had trouble reading the words, I could look at your picture. That's what good writers do. They give us good words and good pictures. So pick a sound. Decide which sound is the one that spoke to you, and put one sound on the sticky note. So once you have your good sound, I love you already sharing it with someone, yes, make sure someone on your team agrees with you. Did that sound make sense along with the picture that goes with it? And if you think someone doesn't make sense, says, well, that was a good try, maybe you want to look at those words again. Or could you add something to your picture to help us understand what your words say? So you're picking one from here, and putting it on the sticky note. When you think you have your words and your picture and your image that goes with it, I'll invite you down to the gathering spot. Now remember, before you can come down, who do you have to wait for? Your team, right? Because a team sticks together. So once your team is ready, I'll invite you down to the gathering spot with your sticky note. Maybe we'll see you high-five each other to show that you're all ready. Maybe you'll put your sticky notes together and say, let's go. Maybe you'll hold your sticky note up so your team can see, but some way look at your team and let them know that, yep, I'm ready to head down. So in a moment, we'll have you post those good sound words that you heard and recorded on your sensory word bank. This sensory word bank is going to serve as a place for you to document how authors communicate using good sensory words all throughout the day in the books that you read, maybe even some of the images that you look at, or poems that you hear. But this will be a nice place to anchor all of those good sensory words that you hear and that you read, all throughout your day. Now, sensory connects to your senses, right? Can you put your hands up for me? Remember we've been saying how the 5 senses can communicate with the world around you, and we're trying to learn out how do our senses communicate? This would be your sense of what?
Touch.
Sense of touch. This would be a sense of smell. Sense of taste, right? It's also where I talk, right? What about?
Ear.
Well, what sense? I hear, right? What about my eyes?
See.
Right?
Sight.
Sense of sight, right? And we also said when you're reading a good book, put your hand on your heart, right? That's a feeling too, right? Not necessarily part of your 5 senses, but a good writer, a good author will make your heart feel something through those good words too. So as we think about our sense of, what would this be? Right? Sense of hearing, right? We hear through our ears. I want to challenge you to think about what are some other ways that we communicate, because we said that the 5 senses, and I'll put our 5 senses right here. Let's go here. No, right? Our 5 senses are one way that we communicate, and we said that we communicate through our ears and also through, right? What else? What other sense would I communicate with? Just call it out. Sight, right? My eyes. My eyes give me sight. What else?
Taste.
Good, right? But I want you to turn to that person next to you. What are other ways that we communicate? We know that our 5 senses help us understand the world around us, but turn to someone next to you. What's another way that we communicate? What's another way? Other than your senses, think about books. Think about other ways people communicate. So we said that our 5 senses definitely help us to communicate a message, especially our sense of sight and our sense of hearing, right? What we see and what we hear, along with our sense of smell. But what about writers? How did this author communicate to us? Call it out. How?
Writing.
Through writing, right? Now, were there just words or were there other things? Like what?
Pictures.
Ah, who's that person called that creates pictures? The illustrator, right? So we have authors and illustrators. They communicate a message to us. And authors communicate with their what? With their writing, with their words, right? And illustrators communicate through
Pictures.
their pictures, right? Could it also be in a photograph?
Yeah.
Could it also be a chart?
Yeah.
Oh, so it could be not just pictures, but it could be charts and graphs and, oh, diagrams. Like you're learning in Writer's Workshop. So as we think about our big idea of communication, we're not just thinking about how our five senses communicate, we're also thinking about how do authors and illustrators communicate through a message as well in their words and their pictures. As I invite you back to your team table to start digging into how do we communicate our message, I'll invite you to add your good sensory word to our sensory word bank so that we can keep track of all those good words that we read and hear all throughout the day. So if you'll just stand up, and as you pass, let's post our word here, and we'll dig into how do we communicate a message. Timer for 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes to show me what do you think you know about sound. Show me in words and show me in pictures, but work the whole 3 minutes. You're thinking like a scientist. What do you think you know about sound right now? I'd like to invite you back to your team table, and I'd like to see you share with your face partner what you think you know about sound. Invite you back to your team table and share with your face partner what you think you know about sound. And this time I'm going to ask if you are the A, you'll share first. If you're the B, you'll share first. So take a look at the middle of your table. You should be able to see it. Right? If you're the A or the B, talk to your face partner first. So if you're on the A side or the B side, you'll do the talking first. So you'll look at your face partner, and you'll be the one talking first. So now she's sharing this, right? Sharing here. Because she's the A. She's the A, she'll talk first. If you're the B, you'll talk first. So A would go first. So help me to understand who's space partners, right? Bria and Elijah, right? As well as because you're sharing here. going to invite you down. I'll invite you down to the team table, of course, making sure, or the gathering spot, make sure to wait for your team so they will see you high five them. Or they'll see you give them a thumb up to show that, yep, I'm ready to go. When you come down, will you please bring your notebook? Please do not bring your pencil, just bring your notebook. Keep it open to the page you were just working on. I'd love for us to record some of our, what we think we know, our beginning understandings about how we use our 5 senses to communicate with the world around us. And right now we're just thinking about sound, right? We're thinking, what do we think we know about sound? Okay. Would you turn to that person you're sitting next to and share just one thing with them? And if they agree with you, put your hand up so we can record it. Turn to that person next to you and share one thing with them. So you guys would be a group of 3. Okay, what do you think? Sound. Okay. Okay, we have our first idea up here. Someone said, well, our team thinks there are sound lines. They look kind of like this. What do you think, Rhea? Okay, our tongue helps us make sounds. Okay, what else?
Your eardrum helps you hear.
Ah, so the eardrum. Okay. Teeth help talk. And this is just what we think right now, right? We're taking all ideas. Okay, we can think. So are we thinking that what we hear and our brain are connected? Right? That's a hard thing to think around, isn't it? Yeah. So I'll put our brain helps us hear. Is that an okay way to say it? Okay. So far, see if there's something else that we don't have that your person next to you is thinking. So far what we think we know about sound could be, well, there's something that maybe are like sound lines. Perhaps our tongue helps make sound. Perhaps our eardrum helps us to hear. Perhaps our teeth help us to talk. And perhaps our brain helps us to hear. Somehow they're talking back and forth. So turn to the person next to you and say, is there anything else we're missing? Anything else that we think we're missing? And if you think there's something we're missing, simply just raise your hand and we'll see if we can get up there. We have room for a few more things. Ah, our gums. So kind of thinks maybe our gums are connected to how we talk or how we hear. Talking. I put and gums. So that part on the outside of the teeth. Okay. Anything else you think we're missing, what we think we know about sound? And that's okay if that's where we're at right now. Those are a lot of good ideas.
I think it sound if you talk, it bounces off walls.
Ooh. Now why do you think that?
Because like when we were in the gym, when people talking loud, it got louder.
Oh. So these are some great beginning understandings of what we think we know about sound. In the next few days, we're going to try and prove, is this correct? is our claim. I'm going to call these claims right now. These are claims. We're claiming that we think this is true. We don't know for sure. So we're claiming that these are the things we think we know about sound. In the next few days, we're going to do a few experiments to see, is there evidence to back up what we think about sound. The short experiment we're going to do today involves just two things. You notice that you had some wire, or some string on your team table. You're going to be working with your shoulder partner, and that means a group of 3 in some cases, right? And we'll figure it out to make sure we know who your partner is when we get back to your table. You'll be working with your shoulder partner to try and figure something out. The question is, how could a piece of string and a wire hanger help us to learn more about how sound travels? Because we're trying to figure out, what do we really know about sound, right? What do we really know about how sound gets from one side to the other? Just as I walked from one side of your room to the other to get a wire hanger, sound somehow travels. And we're going to try and figure out, how could a piece of string and a wire hanger help us to figure that out? Turn to the person next to you and ask them, how could that help us learn about sound?
How can it help us learn about sound? Maybe when they travel.
Oh, I hear some good words, some good thinking. So if you look at the screen, there's an example of a girl who is trying the exploration that we're going to try. And the only things that she has, the only things that she has are, you'll have a wire hanger and a piece of string. You will get a very short piece of paper about the directions for how to try this experiment out. I will give you a clue though. You will need to do some tying. So part of your direction will be to take the string that you have and tie it to the hook of the hanger. So when we talk about the hook, this is the hook, okay? So when it says in one of your steps to tie the string to the hook, this is the part they're talking about. When you think about tying your string, make sure that you're tying it so you have some room on both sides. It may take a few times to get this tied, but you want to try and take your time so that you don't end up with a knot. So basically, it'll just look like this. But this is the part that I wanted you to see, okay? Because I wanted you to see that you need room on each side so that you can hold it up with your fingers. Does that make sense? So before I tie it, I want to make sure that I have enough room on this side and on that side so it hangs about even. Does that make sense? Now when you work as a team, let's think about what would make sense with the materials. Would it make sense for one person to grab them all? No. It would make sense for one person to get the hanger, another person to get the string, and if you have 3 people, maybe that third person gets to tie it. So I'd really like to see you work as a team to go through these steps. Does that make sense? So remember, we're trying to answer this question that's up on our screen. How could a wire and string help us learn more about how sound is communicated to us? So let's go see if we can figure that out.